Good afternoon, space travelers. It is February 12th, 2010. And today I will begin with a bit of a complaint, I guess. I have noticed. Okay, well, I've been a part of a number of theological discussions, and I identify as an atheist. And in that, I find that there is a great deal of baggage that comes with having any conversation because of it. But specifically, a thing I think that is annoying me today, in particular, is the notion of religious entitlement. So, whenever I hear, and I guess my beef here isn't actually with any theists, it's actually with other atheists, whenever they say, I don't believe in God, like that very specific statement, because it's not so much that I don't understand what they're saying, but I believe if you really want to be accurate, and like I'm not trying to split hairs or get nitpicky here, I think what should be conveyed is that I do not believe in any gods, because whenever I find myself in a situation like that, where maybe I'm expressing my beliefs with another person, or if they're asking me about it, I specifically want to remove any sort of contention in that situation. So I don't want, if I'm speaking with a Christian and they're telling me their beliefs, whenever I tell them mine, or I'm asked to explain mine, I don't want what I'm saying to have to be relevant to what they said. Well, it's not. Sorry, I don't want it to be based off what they said. In other words, I'm not atheist to Christianity. I'm atheist to all religions. I'm not singling them out in any way. And I feel like that kind of statement lends a certain credibility that in all matters theological, the go-to religion that has to be the flagship would be Christianity, and I think that is an error. So that bugs me. That bugs me a bunch, and it adds an element of conflict, which I don't think is necessary. The other thing today I'll talk about is the use of irony. Now, I have recently become very aware of what is a very long and nebulous debate on what is and is not ironic. And someone told me a pretty good story the other day, so I'm going to tell it to you. As the story goes, the person told me, sorry, they travel a great deal, and they were spending some time in England, and they have many friends in England, and typically, like, over dinner, it's not very uncommon for, Americans and the English to kind of joke around back and forth and banter about the kind of differences and similarities between our two cultures. And it was said in this particular dinner that the English typically try to avoid using irony at all with the Americans, because when you're in America, it's an irony-free zone, because anything you say is just going to go right over our heads, bless our hearts, that we would try so much. But, he transitioned, he started talking about, and how that Alanis Morissette had wrote that song, Ironic, and how everything she described in that song really wasn't irony at all. Rain on your wedding day is not ironic, it's unfortunate. A free ride when you've already paid may qualify as situational irony. So, not exactly the best batting average for Alanis Morissette. But anyway, the guy is going on and on about Alanis Morissette and how Americans just, they don't get irony. To which the American guest looked at the British host and said, well, the irony is that Alanis Morissette is Canadian, which would be dramatic irony. See, there's all these different forms of irony, and to the irony purist, it's very important to note that how we say, just kind of casually in everyday speak, oh, how ironic, sometimes won't actually qualify as irony, true irony. And so, as it becomes the small fish who eats the bigger fish, or the small fish that's eaten by the larger fish that's eaten by the larger fish. If you say something is ironic, there is someone that is willing to come around, or if you were ever to say, as I've made the mistake once or twice, that someone else does not get irony, or as I typically phrase it, that the irony is wasted on fill in blank. Then what instantly happens is you have these kind of word sharks out there, these people who really, really, really want to prove everything wrong. They're just looking for arguments, but they come along like, be careful, because whenever you say that someone else has no sense of irony, you better make sure that nothing you've said, ever has been, unknowingly ironic. Because if you have, then wouldn't it be ironic if you were pointing out how someone else doesn't understand irony, and you demonstrated not being able to understand irony, or some sort of lapse of irony. Anyway, it's kind of annoying. It's a bit picky. And granted, I know I opened this up with, kind of one of my nitpicky things, but, hey. So the irony purist out there, but, I was just reading on Wikipedia some things on irony. I went to Wikipedia to look up irony. Isn't that amusing? I guess some things aren't so readily transmitted. But I did learn some interesting, its origin. I always like etymology, and I know there's plenty of etymology vlogs and blogs out there, so I won't ramble on about that, because that's kind of a spent thing. People do that already. But I did find it interesting that the word irony, coming from the ancient Greek, of course, word ironia, and I don't think I pronounced that right, meant hypocrisy, deception, or feigned ignorance. These three concepts modernly would, culturally probably be treated as like separate items. It's interesting that in an ancient Greek context that they would have been grouped together like that. Whenever I say something's ironic in error, I'm probably saying that it's amusing, because I see something, some sort of disconnect between what someone says and what actually happens, or what someone's doing something in spite of something that's working against them. But I think it's interesting that the original word had such a diverse meaning, and yet there's irony purists modernly lecturing on such rigid and small uses of the word. Anyway, that's all I really had to say today. And again, I managed to fill another 10 minutes, so that was pretty impressive waste of time. Anyway, this has been another vlog Unspecial, and I'm hoping to get back to doing the vlog specials, but this has been my pastime until I stop being lazy with that. But I do have footage going all the way back to July. I'm hopefully going to process that into something for any of the readers who would like that, or just want to keep up. Anyway, that's really all for today. Peace.